Hi, I'm Conor Meade, and we're here at the 2015 Canadian Science Policy Conference with Janet Bax, President of the Council of Canadian Academies. Today she's joining us to moderate a panel on evidence-based decision-making. Janet, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about the Council of Canadian Academies?
It would be my great pleasure to tell you about the Council. So the Council was set up some 10 years ago by the Government of Canada to undertake independent assessments of the state of knowledge to answer difficult, multidisciplinary, cross-cutting kinds of questions. For instance, the state of food security in the north. So you can imagine that covers not only food security, but it covers health, it covers natural resources, it covers all aspects of health. So what we do when we get a question from government is that we assemble a panel of experts in all of the disciplines that we feel are important to be able to answer that question. And over the course of about 12 to 16 months, the panel meets and looks at the evidence and writes a report and then presents it back to the government sponsoring agency, and we provide them with that report. We are at arm's length, meaning that the sponsor does not in any way interfere with the work of the panel. And the other important thing about our work is that it has no recommendations. Now you might say, why no recommendations? Isn't that what they want? Well, we do it precisely to give the policymakers, because these reports are intended to serve as evidence for assisting policymaking. We don't want to constrain them in any way. So what we do is we present them with the findings of the expert panel, the findings that emerge from the examination of the science. And findings can sometimes look a little bit like recommendations. So the fact that we don't give recommendations does not mean that our reports are not without significant recommendation-like findings. So that's what we do. We are assessments. We provide assessments on the state of knowledge on important questions for Canada and for Canadians.
Okay.
We actually, and let me tell you, one of the last assessments that we did was actually for a private sector sponsor, Magna Auto Parts International. And Magna asked us if we would do an assessment on climate change, on the state of knowledge on climate change, and also to look a little bit forward on alternate sources of energy. So this was our first private sector assessment. We were thrilled to get it. I think a very important and timely subject, given that COP21 is just coming up for the government. And so although we did it for the private sector, we're making sure that the panel's report gets into the hands of, well, right from the Prime Minister, who will be leading the Canada's delegation, all the way down to ministers. And I think it's a very important way for academics. So many of our panel members are academics, but they're also from the private sector, from industry. And I think it's a wonderful way to really get a return on investment for the kind of education that academics get, and to have them provide their advice back to government and to influence policy making. So I feel that the Council plays a very, very important and unique role in the S&T ecosystem in Canada.
Excellent. Well, I absolutely agree. As a follow-up question, what more could we do to develop the culture and the practice of evidence-based decision-making within the Government of Canada?
Well, that was really the subject of the symposium that we just had. There are so many best practices out there that other governments undertake. I mean, we heard today about the UK, which has a parliamentary office of S&T. So that is an office that is within Parliament and that cannot very easily be disbanded. In Canada, we've had the Office of the Chief Science Advisor. We've had a number of models that we have used. And what came out of the symposium today were more principles of how evidence should be presented to government. Things like, making sure that you get all of the evidence possible. It shouldn't be just a one-sided evidence. Being very transparent. Trying to make the evidence, which sometimes is very technical, understandable for the end user. So I think it's not going to be just one thing. I think it's going to be many things. And I think there were some excellent suggestions presented here today at the symposium. And what we agreed on was that this was some important first steps in a process leading to providing continued evidence for decision making to this government, but not just to the government, to you and I, to members of the public. There are many issues out there that are tough issues and that people want to know about the evidence. Climate change obviously is an important one, but there are many other issues, even issues such as the refugee crisis. You need, people are anxious to get the data. They want to know what the data is behind an issue, so that when the government makes a decision, they feel that the government is making that decision based on all the evidence that is possible.
Absolutely, yeah. So I know we're short on time, so
Yes.
but before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, for the benefit of everyone viewing, if we wanted to learn more about the work of the council and of your work, where should we go online?
Oh, so you go at www at scienceadvice.ca.
Okay.
I shouldn't be hesitating about that. Anyway, it has been such a delight to speak to you.
Yes,
Thank
you so much for joining us for this interview at the conference, and I look forward to seeing you around at the conference.
Thank you very much,
Excellent.
and I wish you all the best for the conference.
Thank you so much, Janet.
Okay.